Today I want to show you guys a little bit of the setup for the NutriMill Classic. That's the grain mill that I chose, and I want to show you guys just the different parts, how it works, and a little bit about the setup. So when you purchase your NutriMill, obviously it's gonna come in a box. You take all the plastic off, and then you want to make sure first that you read the little instruction guide, because there are some tips and tricks in there and some things that you need to know. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to make sure that you keep those. They come in a little envelope, and it also comes with an extra filter in there, so you want to make sure that you keep up with that. And there's also a warranty on this, so you want to make sure that you keep your invoice once you've made your purchase. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just take a look at the NutriMill. So you'll notice obviously there's a lid here at the top, and this is where you will put in your wheat berries when it's time to grind those up. And then down at the bottom here we have this little container. I'm gonna pop that out so you can take a look at that. This is where your flour will be once you have ground your wheat berries. So this just twists off, and if you read in your pamphlet, you'll notice that it does mention that for the first little bit it might be trickier to twist off and on, just until this little rubber piece gets kind of floury and dusty, and then it'll be easier to twist off and on. I haven't had mine very long, and it's already easier to get off and on. So this is your little flour bucket here, and then this is the lid. Another thing that you'll notice is this little container right here. This just kind of catches flour, and every time after you mill it, you may notice there's some flour in here, and it's perfectly fine. You'll just pour it out into this the bucket down here on the bottom. Here you'll see the filter, and like I said, it comes with an extra one of these. I don't think you have to replace it, but maybe like every 2 years. Don't quote me on that, it's in the book. But I just wanted to show you how this comes apart. This little contraption here does need to be on and attached. It just snaps on every time that you use your grain mill. Another thing to note is that you don't want your grain mill getting wet. So it's important that you don't rinse it out after each use. What I use is this little pastry brush here. They're super inexpensive, maybe $2 or $3. And you can dust off any extra flour. You can see I milled some flour this morning. You can dust off any extra flour there. It's also great to clean out your flour bowl. You can get it wet. It's not that you can't, it's just that you want to make sure there's no moisture inside there. So if you do wash it, you want to make sure that you dry it really, really well. One thing to note is that when you receive your grain mill, you will see the instructions for your first use. And your first use, you'll want to take 2 cups of wheat berries and pour that in there and grind those up, and then you'll actually throw those away. It's just a way to get your machine properly going, and make sure it kind of cleans out any of the dust particles or anything like that from when it was produced or shipping, that kind of thing. So when you're ready to set this up, let me note another thing here. I've already attached mine because I've been using it, but when yours comes, when you first take it out of the box, this little piece here will actually be down inside this. So you'll see the instructions for putting it together, and I was like, where is that piece? And I couldn't find it, but it's actually down in this little, down in your flour container down here on the bottom. So it's actually just an extension for the top of your NutriMill, which is pretty cool because it allows you to fit more wheat berries in there. I think it actually can grind or hold up to 5 pounds at a time. I personally don't grind that much flour at a time because you want to grind flour for when you're going to use it. So I just grind as much as I need for whatever recipe that I'm doing. So, but it is a nice little attachment to have. You don't have to place it up here. You can actually just store this wherever you'd like. But I went ahead and put mine on. That way I didn't have to keep up with it. So you will pop this in here. And this is just your little lid for the top. It kind of keeps things from going in there. And then this lid goes on just like this, and you will twist it. You can see there, it twists under there. And then you'll want to scoot this over. Make sure your flour container is popped all the way in. Listen for the pop. You will notice down at the very bottom here, there's yes and no. If it's in all the way, you will be able to see the word yes. If not, then it will say no. So you definitely want to make sure that you pop that in all the way, because if not, flour is going to shoot everywhere. All right, so let's talk really quickly about the settings. You will see 2 different settings on your NutriMill. One is for the motor and one is for the feed rate. The motor speed is actually the texture speed for your flour. So if you want really fine flour, you want to crank that up. If you want more coarse flour, then you want that down. And then the feed rate, that's how quickly your grains are going to go through your hopper. One thing that I've sort of found, and you can sort of do your own research and trial and error here, but one thing that I found is I just sort of keep them both straight up at 12 o'clock. So I keep my motor speed right here at 12 o'clock, and then once I turn it on, the feed rate, I'll just put it right here at 12 o'clock as well. Last thing I want you to know, and just to review, is that the first time you use your NutriMill, you want to make sure that you place 2 cups of wheat berries and grind that. And then once you're finished with it, you want to throw out the flour that's down here in the bottom, just your first time. After that, you're good to go. If you have any questions or comments about the NutriMill, you can leave those below. I'm happy to answer your questions.